wanted dealers to get together. We didn't want to be part of that. We wanted to have a free-flowing, very honest conversation, whether that's controversial, whether that's good for the engine, whether that's bad for the engine. It really didn't matter. We wanted to put dealers together, have a dealer like Julia Miller, who was a senior vice president of growth and business development for Blue Ox in mid-state New York. Good size, very good size, heating oil, propane, convenience stores. Julie is a young executive in the industry, but really, really knowledgeable. You might have seen her. She speaks a lot for us. She speaks for other companies as a subject matter expert. We kind of wanted her to own this session. And from going forward from here, allow Julia to bring in a variety of panelists to talk about different topics. So today's number one. This is her show. This is the panel show. This is ultimately your show. So I will turn it over to Julie in a second. The one thing that Julie and I decided this morning was it's very hard in a virtual environment to manage a panel, especially these three gentlemen, and the audience at the same time. So we are asking you to please put your messages in chat, and Adrian will monitor those and feed those to Julia at the end of the session. And knowing the three gents and Julie who are on the phone today, there'll probably be no time for anybody on the call to talk anyway. So we're excited about this concept and looking forward to getting going. So Julia, without further ado, it's your show. Good luck with everything. I'm going to mute myself out.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction, Mark, and welcome everybody. Really excited to be talking about this topic today. As Mark said, I'm the Senior Vice President of Blue Ox Energy. We're located in upstate New York, pretty rural market. So we've always kind of joked that if anybody had an excuse not to adapt to the modern energy company or modern energy customer, it's us. But we're seeing great success with, some of the tools that we're using, creating an online experience for customers, whether that's full service or more of an on-demand will call customer. So I'm looking forward to talking with our guests today, Chris, Nick, and Anthony, about what they're doing in their markets and learning, from their experiences as well. I can just tell you some of the things that we're seeing is we're growing at about 10% a year. And a lot of that growth is coming from the will call on-demand customer. I was just sharing with Mark before the call, we're seeing 85 to 90% of our new customers on the fuel oil side being will call, and we're seeing 69% of our propane customers actually growing in that will call direction too. So it's definitely a trend that we're even seeing in the backwoods rural area we live in. So I can only imagine the impact it's having on everyone else's markets as well. Today we're here really to talk about how to best serve today's energy customer. And before we get into that part of the conversation, I'll just kind of ask Chris, Nick, and Anthony to, I'll pick you one at a time, but if you want to just tell everybody a little bit about yourselves to start, and then we'll kick off with a couple questions. So Chris, if you want to go first and unmute and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, then we'll go from there.
Hi, everybody. My company is Bonded Oil Company. We've been in business since 1945. Used to be a much heavy full service commercial fuels, and the full service in our industry, it's northern New Jersey, is rapidly disappearing. The natural gas companies are literally destroying our business as they see fit. And it's not even just in the urban areas. They're going to the rural areas now and putting in gas lines where you never thought there would be gas lines. So we started on the engine, I think it was 10 years ago, John. Does that sound right? John's still not talking. Okay.
Yeah, 2010, Chris.
And that's where we have seen the only growth in the heating oil business. On the heating oil side is only will call on demand. I don't see how. I'd love to hear if somebody is successful adding full service customers at the rate that we can add on demand customers. But I don't think those people exist anymore. They're going online, and with COVID, we had explosive growth last March, April, May, like pretty much dead of the winter type explosion of growth, and it just has kept going since there. With different marketing plans and things like that, we're trying to attract as many new customers as possible because we're losing them at a rapid rate. Just not to other companies, just to another fuel supply.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a threat that a lot of people probably on the call, or they've at least heard, that they can relate to, because it's definitely something, that's coming everywhere. We'll segue over to Nick, if you want to introduce yourself and give a little bit of background, and we can hear what your story is.
All right, thank you. Nick Warren, with the Fish Churchill Oil Company out of Dedham, Massachusetts. It's your typical full-service company, fifth generation. The same old full-service tale that most of us were born into, and the lucky ones that weren't. I'm also in the oil-only game. My uncle started a company in 1986. Back in the day is, COD Oil, which is now affectionately referred to as On Demand. So for the last 5 years, I've been running both companies. So I have equal pain and knowledge of both models and trying to grow both models, and really passionate about the oil only. And I think that has to do with the fact that it's a hell of a lot easier. So I'm really enjoying the success that the technologies that we've invested in recently have helped us grow. And I'm really looking forward to learning as much as I can from everyone on the call, because I think everyone does some things different, and some of the best decisions I've ever made in business have come from talking to smart people such as everyone here. So thank you for having me.
Awesome, Nick. Thanks so much. Looking forward to hearing more about that. The last panelist we have is Anthony from Romeo's Fuel. I know he was going to be a little bit in between, but if he's still on and you want to introduce yourself, Anthony, we'd love to hear from you.
I'm not like neither one of the other two fellas. We're in business about 7.5 years. We started this business as a necessity to our other businesses. We were not allowed to have fuel tanks on our property, so we put a fuel truck and we started the business. We're strictly COD. We do quite a bit of municipal work, and I don't think we're going to go to automatic. I think we're going to try to go, we're doing a lot with tank monitors, and we're going to probably try to go quasi-automatic, but we're going to stay strictly as a COD. We have no intention of going to full service. And that's really about it for us.
Excellent. So success pretty much right out of the chute with using this model. Thank you.
100%.
Awesome. So we'll kind of get into some questions here. And as Mark mentioned before, if anybody on the call has additional questions, if you want to just type them in the chat, if there's time at the end, we'll make sure to do our best to answer all of those or follow up with you after the presentation. The first question, I guess I'll kick to Chris. Can you talk to just some changes you've seen in consumer behavior over the last 5 to 10 years that really moved you to make the change or explore new options?
Yes. Adrian, what year did I meet you? 2002, 2003?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Okay, so we used to be a dealer for PriceEnergy.com, which was the first, John, am I right? First e-commerce oil business. Okay. So we saw. He's doing that intentionally. We saw just a tremendous amount of opportunity with what Price Energy did with, the orders just rolling in with, for us delivering them, it was simple. We just get our dealer report and we would go out and make the deliveries and post them, and then we would get paid up until the end. But the consumer that we see, we actually put a program in place of where we charge an additional premium if you want to order over the phone. And so our online price is always a minimum of 5 cents less than our phone in price. And I can't tell you how many people just say, okay, and hang up the phone, and then their order appears 2 minutes later. So some people, we were even training them not only on demand, but just go to the website and place your order. So we're not, and we've had an issue where the site was down, what have you, and we're not set up to handle the volume of work. We don't have the internal process to handle the work that we actually do because of the technology. I mean, we were drowning just with the phones. We could not handle the calls. It just was too much for what the amount of demand that we were getting. So, I mean, the consumer wants the convenience and they want the price. And, we're not working on tiny margins anymore. I mean, we started out in the price game, and I mean, we kind of dictate our margin. I mean, it's not a full service margin, but it's definitely above the average for the COD market. So, and, we built a tremendous amount of loyalty with those customers. We have a great referral program that we offer. We guide the customer. What better marketing than having somebody else do it for you? And I mean, we have a ton of referrals. You look at what it actually costs for those referrals, but compare that to what it would cost to buy a customer if you were buying another company. I mean, it's pennies. So, I mean, the customers want to go online. They want the cheap price. And the only thing that where our loyalty comes in, I think, is our speed of delivery. I mean, we're delivering everything within 48 hours, regardless of weather. We just keep pushing. So that is what we see. If we gain 50, 100 new full service customers, we lose 50 or 100 full service customers. So it's kind of a push. The only growth that we see in our industry, in our territory, is on demand.
It's funny, Chris, because as you're talking, there's a lot of things that we're relating to that we do as well. It's the same concept, but we offer a discount to go online to place your order. So we're naturally still getting, because we were a full service company, all these people that call in to place their order. And this year, for the first time, we actually created a promo code to give those people, that customer service gave those people, so we could track how many people actually went back to the engine to fully place their order. So we know how many people were moving to that platform. And once they move to that platform, they tend to stay in that platform. So I think that's a really good point. Is it's really easy to use a couple easy marketing tactics to continue to shift the business that's used to that traditional phone model of calling in that's expensive. You just have to retrain them a little bit, and they're so used to this experience, they kind of just fall right in line with how you want them to perform.
Yeah, I mean, that they do. You just have to, we see a rule of 3. If you can get 3 orders out of that customer, whether you get 3 in a row or you get 3 over a year period, that customer becomes our customer. We're going to get that person back time and time again. So we use a lot of split promotions where we'll give you $60, but it's 20 off the first 3 or whatever, and we've had great success with that. What we do, and I don't know if you guys have to do it in New York. I know in Massachusetts, Nick has to do it, but the tank inspections, we inspect every tank that we delivered to the
I
first
don't want
time.
to interrupt you, Chris. I'm having
And
a
if you're
hard
adding,
time hearing you.
hundreds or 1,000 plus customers a year, that's a lot of
Hey,
tanks
Chris,
to inspect.
Chris.
So we do a lot of that virtually, getting photos of the tank, because honestly, the insurance company, like, what do you mean? Well, we put in stuff the last in 6 years, could be a qualified side there. So we get actually every tank delivered. So we're sure if they have to go get photos, and unlimited all, only list oil there. And that is in for the customer. There has to take time, because on the website, some even and if Kenny is not here, say, oh, I'm not going to do that, and don't. Why shouldn't doing that? So we don't have the time. Oh, please ever ask for that? Oh, a lot of stuff. Okay, and next step with them. And we're not taking that next, and it's out in our favor.
All right, I don't know if that played out for everybody else the way it did for me, but that was like totally fast forward. So I heard
Yeah,
bits and
Chris.
pieces of what Chris shared.
Chris, the actual audio was absolutely terrible. Driving is just so important. You might need to actually just call in using your phone if possible. I don't know. But that information about the tank inspection is really important, and we may need you to go over it again.
All right, well, segue, let me switch gears to Nick for a moment. Nick, you have still a full service model and this online model, correct?
Correct. Two separate companies, two separate areas.
All right, do you want to elaborate on that and just talk about, how you guys decided to move down the path of the on-demand model and how you're balancing the two worlds?
Yeah, absolutely. And I did want to say something in the introduction that I missed. I'll just want to recap real quick. And speaking from the full service world, I think our traditions and the perceptions of our company, it makes us unique, but it also hinders our growth and our ability to adapt to the new marketplace and consumer. So there's no coincidence that the biggest changes in this industry came from people outside of it. And the people that are new to it have more success than the people that have been in the game for a long time. So I think that's a really big point that kind of highlights the whole reason why we're here. But it's just striking to talk to somebody that started this industry just to keep fueling his property, and he's delivering 10 million gallons a year. So anyway, yeah. So we've been in the full service world for a while. In 1986, my father purchased a COD company, and that was really just help with cash flow. I mean, the old pay us when you can, you're good for it, full service business model, left you thin in times of the year. And that was we used that as a way to supplement cash flow. And then around that same time, my uncle wanted to start a company, and I think they did what anyone else here would do. You talk to the guy that owns a company and said, what's working and what's not? And what would you do differently? And the first thing that goes is service and all the bullshit that goes with it. Pardon my French. And you get into this oil-only business model because it makes sense. It's easy to do. And in this time, it's easier to grow. So that's kind of how we ended up into it. And over the last 5 years I've been running it, it's night and day. I mean, just like Chris said, I mean, it is a full-time slog with a lot of overhead to keep your full service customers. With the real estate market, everyone's moving. So now you got to fight to get the new guy. And you spend a lot of money trying to keep your gallons consistent. And then if you flip the script and look at the oil only company, you're growing at minimum 5, 6, 7, 10% a year, meanwhile having the warmest winters on record. So the growth isn't even tied to the degree days. You're growing no matter what. So that's kind of where we are now, and that's why I'm focusing a lot more of my time on this model, because it's the most successful, and there's really a lot of different ways to grow it. So as you can tell, it's a hell of a lot easier. I mean, I lost all my hair running a full service company, and now I have a tan because I'm running an oil only company.
One question I have is, I know I've heard this a lot from other dealers who get concerned about, embracing this online experience, but do you ever worry about your full service customers jumping ship to become this COD will call customer, or getting them confused that there's, two companies, but they're kind of the same? And do you have any brand confusion or customer confusion or even staff confusion as a result of that?
Great question. Something that's been a topic in this industry for a long time. And where I ended up on that is you're either a full service company or an oil only customer, right? The customer, I believe, falls into one or two categories. You either want that, one call does it all, just come fix my stuff, I don't care how much it costs, just do it. And then the other guy is like, no, I want to control it and handle it that way. And that may not be correct for all the areas, but in the areas I'm in, that's how it breaks down. So I looked at that problem as it's my job to educate the customer on which one they belong in, because then you never have a fight over services, costs, why is it this much, why is it that much, because you're not comparing the price per gallon, you're comparing services, right? So, price is what you pay, value is what you get. So if you do a good job with your staff that can explain that, then there's usually not an issue, because the biggest issue in this industry is the lack of education on the customer's standpoint of what their options are. A lot of times people just move into a house to see a tag in the fill thing, and they call and they just order oil. They have no clue what's available, and they have no clue what they want because no one asks them. So I think if you do that up front, it's easy, and they just find the right company. And if they're not working for the full service, well, guess what? We have this option, and vice versa.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. And I think that's something that we do as well, is there's a balance point of trying to figure out, you don't want to necessarily force all your customers into the COD will call, because if they're not the right fit, because they truly belong in the automated model and they're willing to pay for that, that's okay for them to just exist over here. It's all these other people that are not tied to that concept, and a new generation coming up that's not tied to that concept, that they're much more looking for that Amazon type experience where they order, it shows up, it's easy, and they can do it around their schedule. And I think that's a lot of the benefit that some of these tools bring to the table. Chris,
Yeah,
I did want to circle back. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to agree with you, and I think the millennials get a bad rap, but I believe they have options and they know it, Yeah. And that's the difference. It's not that they're lazy. It's not that they're not loyal. It's not that they don't get the full service model and they're not smart enough to pay the $1.50 a gallon. It's just there are other options, and they're willing to ask questions.
Absolutely. I think Tony jumped off the call he's got to switch to his computer. So I'm going to circle back to something Chris said, which was in regards to speed, and then maybe we can talk about tank inspection. Is I know when we started looking at our online customer experience, we were at a point where we were super efficient, because we were basically telling customers, we're in your area once a week, you need to give us a couple days notice so we can make the most efficient delivery for our drivers. And that essentially was driving away our business. And when we started looking at online tools, and all of a sudden we could tell people, we'll be there in 48 hours or 72 hours. That's a lot of where our growth came from. And I know Dispatch absolutely loves it, because these orders come in at nighttime or in the middle of the day. And because you've already collected those dollars, you don't have to coordinate, are they leaving cash? Is there going to be a check? You can just implement that delivery, which helps you get a lot of those efficiencies back. So Chris, you had mentioned that speed was really important to what you were doing. Do you want to elaborate on that anymore?
Adrian, am I clear? Can you hear me? The delivery speed is something that, we have a large fleet, and our competition, there's only one competitor that has even close to the amount of equipment that we do. So anybody can deliver oil in April and May. It's kind of, but when you get 3 feet of snow in February, and you got 10 days looking out, that's going to be 25 degrees. Who's going to get it done? And what happens is the competition can't. They say, oh yeah, we can be 10 cents less, but you're going to have to wait 7, 8, 9 days. And we don't charge any more for that service. The orders come in and we push them out. And that's just, I mean, we went the whole month of February, we worked, every day. There was no days off. Everybody, all the drivers worked, and that's just what we did. And we were actually getting complaints from customers that were like, you're usually here the next day. Why is it taking 2 days? And it's like, well, has anybody seen Amazon delaying it's supposed to be next day, and then 3 days later, you get a notification it's delayed, but it's coming. But for the most part, I mean, just being able to deliver in a certain amount of time causes the customer the on-demand customer, the full service person that's getting from Petro or whomever is paying $2.50 a gallon over. That person wants that guarantee. We're seeing less and less people wanting that guarantee. We actually, on our full service side, we stopped offering service contracts. The service contract that we offered was a loser. We could not make money with service contract. So we notified all the customers as the contracts were being renewed. Service contracts are no longer available. We can offer you service at a parts and labor situation. And maybe 10 people said, no, I want a contract. Everybody else just kind of fell in line. And that's, for the most part, I mean, everything's pointing to people wanting like an a la carte type situation. We don't want all of your price price cap, price. Some people do, but I mean, for the most part, people buy what they can afford. The on-demand customer, if they can afford to fill a 500-gallon tank, they'll do it. If they got $300 and they get 100 gallons, that's what they get. And that's just, that's where they're going. I mean, we actually will, as you said before, having that promotion for the, customer service reps to, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. You're good.
Having the customer service reps, be able to say, here, go online. Because even though you want to complete that call, you want to complete that order on that call, you don't want to lose that. If we give them a 3-cent promotion, 5-cent promotion, because, hey, they don't want to pay that 5 cents more, they go online every time. It very rarely. And the only ones that you end up taking over the phone is, some old lady, some old lady or man says, I don't have a computer, you have to do it. And we do our best to accommodate. But for the most part, I mean, and collecting checks and cash is just, with the amount of volume that we do, and I'm sure, you guys have the same problem. It's an impossibility. You could do a fraction of the work if you had to, collect checks, cash, keeping track of every check, making sure how many checks are going to bounce. It just, the money's in the account, you make the delivery, and around we go. There's never any hard feelings because, you're not paying when you have the money, you just pay and we provide service. And there's never that uncomfortable call from the credit department. Mrs. Smith, you owe us $500, and she says, well, I don't have the money. And it's like, well, now you're going to be cold because we can't deliver. You're on credit hold. So this has kind of directed everybody to the whole industry. From where we could see, is going in this direction. And I don't see how it's going to. It's never going back. I can't ever see it going back to my grandfather's days where you sent everybody a bill and they paid you whenever they could, and those days are gone. I don't see them coming back. I don't see the customer wanting it. They really don't want it. They don't want those frills.
I think you're totally on point with that, and we're seeing all the same things on our end. One more thing, Chris, and then I want to segue over to Tony so he can talk about his 10 million gallons. But you were trying to say before about the tank inspections, and Adrian really wanted the group to hear that. So if you want to try to give that a run again and share some information on that.
So just the difficulty of you can't, going on to the bondoil.com and placing your order, you got to go through the registration process, which we know is 4 or 5 pages of information. Well, Bonded Oil puts another layer in there that requires you to do a tank inspection. You can actually place your order without the tank inspection, but you won't get your delivery until you do. So the people get to the tank inspection form and say, oh, they're calling on the phone. What does this mean? Well, nobody's ever asked to see our tank. I know in Massachusetts, Nick, am I right? It's a law that you have to inspect the tank before you deliver to it the first time?
They've kind of gone back and forth. It's usually up to your insurance company. So last couple of years we have, and then this year they said you can if you want, but they weren't mandating it. So I think it's insurance company specific, but everyone's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we're the competition in northern New Jersey is not doing it. They're you know, the insurance agent will tell us you pay your money, you take your chances if you don't do an inspection. So we're doing it. We've had a couple disasters, you know, nightmares that have come up, and you know, it's cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in increased insurance premiums, which I'm not going to take because it's as simple. We developed the technology that, you know, that allows the customer to upload their information onto the website. Someone in the office that has the know-how can inspect the tank, and then 5 years down the road, when that tank lets go in someone's basement and there's oil all over the place, and now that customer is looking at us saying, well, what did you do? We can actually show the insurance company on day one, the first time we put oil in it, this is what it looked like. That customer has some type of responsibility to be like, well, it's leaking, it's doing this. I mean, and if you don't, I mean, you'd still be on the hook. So we can at least give a starting point of here's what it looked like. This is why we felt it was safe to make this delivery. And that's if we on the one that caused us to do this, we did not. And the claims at $875,000 for a house that wasn't worth $100 grand. It was we got set. I know we got set up, but besides that, I mean, if we had looked at the tank prior to making the delivery, we never would have made the delivery. And that's just the simplicity of it. So that's where we do the tank inspection. It is that extra layer of aggravation for the customer where you're almost closing the deal, and then we say, oh, one more step. And you think at that point they'll walk away, but for the most part, they don't. I mean, 95 out of 100 just say, okay, I'll send you pictures when I get home. End of story.
I think that's really great insight and feedback for everybody on the call, because I know we all have different regulations, but at the same time, we have the same concerns, and we're all worried about the tank that's going to give way and how to protect ourselves and our businesses and our employees. So thank you for sharing that, Chris. And now, Tony, I see he's back on, so I'd like to kick it over to him to hear all about his 10 million online gallons and what he's done to get there, and where he plans to go from here.
Well, the last part of it, I'm not sure. I don't know where I'm, but like I said in the beginning, when we started out on this business, we started out as a necessity for our other businesses, and that's why we formed Romeo's Fuel. We have, right from the beginning, been strictly online. We were, in the first year, we did take phone calls. This year, we actually shut our phone off. We could not handle the amount of phone calls for ETAs, for price quotes, and if you wanted to order and you got through to us on the phone, you were going to be told that you have to order online. What you have to remember is most people use Amazon at a minimum of once to twice a week. And Romeo's Fuel will be, on Long Island, the Amazon of fuel oil. We are losing, like Chris is losing, to the gas company, but we're not losing at an incredible amount. What we did is we put a ton of money into digital marketing, and we still do. And this year was the first year that we used pay-per-click. We are organic, and our domain authority has ranked above most of our competitors that have been in business for 60 plus years, and our domain authority is much higher. We do put a lot into our online marketing. We do some print, and we do some mailers. We do a little bit of radio, but most of it is online. And that's why I had told John when he asked me, I consider myself to be an e-commerce company. I don't consider myself to be an oil guy. I'm not like Chris that was born into it. He could probably take a boiler apart, maybe even Nick, they could take it apart. I can't. I don't deliver. I don't go out on the truck. I know how to work it. I can talk guys through it. I'm connected to Cargus Energy, so our life is very easy with online ordering with the Energy Engine. You order, it goes right into Cargus, and we put you into a route. Our biggest problem is we are unlike Chris. We don't have that extra equipment in the wintertime, so we are out. This year we were out, I think the most we were out was either 6 days, or mainly we were out about 4 days to get oil. So that is our biggest problem. And I am not going to increase my equipment because it's a lot of money. We are on Long Island, and Jersey is expensive, and I'm sure Mass is expensive, but all water is underneath us, and the insurance companies, they know that all water is underneath us. So it's very expensive to insure these trucks that are just sitting around, and most oil insurance companies are not allowing you to put a truck down without taking the tags, the plates off of the truck. So we run 8 trucks. We have 1 for diesel, so we have a 9 truck just for diesel, but we run 8 trucks, and we run 8 trucks probably about 45 weeks a year, 45 weeks out of the year, and we run them 7 days a week, and we start out at 5 in the morning, even in the summertime. We start out at 5 in the morning, and we start pumping oil by 5:15, 5:30. We're pumping oil. So that's a little about us. But I think if you're going to be in this market for online, you really have to dedicate some resources to digital marketing.
Tony, I think that's a really great point. One other thing I did want to ask you about is I think you had said earlier that you had a lot of municipal work. Are you able to funnel commercial clients through your engine as well, or how are you approaching your commercial customer?
So we are not able to at this point. We have had a conversation with Mark, and I know that you have had the same conversation in regards to our HEAP customers. We'd like to see if there's a possibility that we could do something with the engine for our HEAP customers. But our municipalities, out of our 10 million gallons, are about 1 million gallons to municipalities, and it's all over the phone or email. Most of them we now ask them to email us. That's the easiest way. We just do not have office staff. We can't find office staff, and so we are just trying to do it by automation.
Nope, I would totally agree with you. I mean, we haven't really gotten much off the ground in terms of commercial will call business ourselves. So I think some of probably our pain points are the same. And you do raise a great point about HEAP. I know we've had some of those conversations as well. One additional question is, how did COVID-19 affect your business, Tony?
I don't know the percentage. And I think John's not talking, I know, but I think John had ran the numbers. COVID was incredible. The amount of new customers that we got were phenomenal. And I know that one of the guys had said they like to keep a customer for three go-arounds. Once you're with Romeo's, you don't leave. The only way that you leave Romeo's is if Romeo doesn't want you anymore, because we have had to have those conversations with customers that they're just not a fit for us. We were not taking cash at all. We were strictly doing credit card. And, you know, some of our customers just, you know, some of the old timers wanted the cash. And, you know, those were when we had conversations that were just not the right fit for you. We did go back to taking cash now. It is the worst thing in the world. It is terrible. I think, in my opinion, cash costs more money than credit card. And I know I could prove that just by time. Just because we start at 5 in the morning, we have to ruin routes because of cash. We have to change routes around because of cash. And our credit customers, everything, all our trucks are GPS, all our trucks have face forwarding, face and driver cameras. All our routes get sent out automatically to the trucks. Drivers don't have to enter anything in the trucks. And the cash is just a terrible part. It's a terrible thing. If you're with a good credit card processor, it doesn't cost as much as people think it costs, because the cash costs, in my opinion, the cash costs more than the credit cards cost, just in time, and then the banking fees that are involved with cash.
Yep. I think probably any of us who have enjoyed the benefits of tools like the Energy Engine will relate to you on that note, Tony, that there's a lot of intangible costs that go into having to handle cash and the stress associated with it. So I think that's a great point. We're at about 10 minutes left, so I think I'll probably go around the room with Nick, Chris, and Tony one more time for, you know, maybe give everybody on the call your best piece of advice or words of encouragement. Nick, we can start with you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I guess one thing I wanted to echo that Chris mentioned is the speed and how easy and efficient this product is. But the one thing you need is connectivity with your back office system. You're not going to get the full advantage if you have 2 databases and you're playing the game. You're just moving the workflow. So I'm not sure who's on the call, if everyone is integrated with their back office system, but that needs to be number one in this game of any piece of technology you add going forward. You need to have it all integrated, so you're not creating double work, and you're able to harness the speed and the technology that you're paying for. My biggest piece of advice is that, listen, I added this feature to an already established phone call business. We were doing 2.5 million gallons a year by phone. So it was a very easy transition to bring it into the 21st century. And my piece of advice for people that may be doing that is, I did not spend any money on marketing. I needed a baseline. I needed to figure out what I was actually getting right out of the box without spending money, because I needed to know, I needed to be able to quantify it, right? So if I had a lot of existing customers that were going to use it, I needed to see what it was going to do. So I did that for 4 years. I didn't spend any money. I did promos, did email marketing through Constant Contact with my email list as it grew, but I didn't spend any money until this year. This is the first year I did some SEO, so I'll be interested to see the changes at the end of the year. But I guess my only advice is scale it in and take it slow, because you talk to anybody in the online marketing game, they're going to try to sell you each product, pay-per-click. I mean, there's so many things out there. And for simple oil guys like myself, it's very hard to quantify. So take it slow and take it bit by bit so you can track and see how you're doing with it and see what success you're having with it.
Great feedback. Thanks so much, Nick. Chris, do you want to share your closing thoughts or words of wisdom, advice?
The the long-term approach of John Brable and Adrian has always been, if you build it, they will not necessarily come. You have to go out and get them. And I remember having this conversation with John 10 years ago, and I was giving him a hard time the other day about the first marketing company he brought in, and yeah, he's laughing. But long story short, I mean, we didn't do anything for the first couple of years as well. It just, we have our existing business, and we thought, oh, we put up this website that people will come, and honestly, that has not been the case. We do all kinds of marketing, whether Valpak, billboards, trucks, digital trucks driving around, TVs and diners. They're TV, radio. We've done everything that there is. Some are successful, some are not. You try to quantify that with a promo code to attach it to, like, well, that promo code works, so we're going to continue to put money there. The thing we did this year was we did a TV commercial. I actually did it, and the actual promo on the TV commercial was it produced next to nothing, 10, 15 hits, nothing great. But that commercial went active on January 1st, and we looked at how many customers we added that downloaded our app. From when did we go live, Adrian? July, August with the app?
Yeah, July, I think.
July. We got almost as many customers in 6 months in 30 days. And that's the only other place really other than in the constant contact emails that say, hey, here, download our free app. But I mean, that's the only other place where we pushed it. And I mean, people started downloading it at a rapid rate. So, I mean, there's the reason things are what's that?
A direct correlation there.
Yeah, so I mean, so technically I couldn't quantify it, but I don't have any other reason to believe that worked other than, we were talking about it. So, you can't, you put up a website and you got to put something into it. And, the business what we do is not hard. We deliver oil. Really the hardest part of it was always getting paid. Now that we've eliminated the payment issue, now it's put the equipment on the road, get the proverbial asses in the seat, and go get it done. And we've had very good success with that. And hopefully we'll be able to continue. If the gas company and the government doesn't make everything electric, which I look forward to that day. We're going to need a lot more time for that one, guys. But that'll increase the commercial business. Our commercial business probably tenfold just because of all that direction. But getting the trucks on the road, getting the fuel out, and driving the customer to the website is our best tool. You use the technology to keep the customer. What I was saying with getting the customer 3 times, to make that customer our full-time customer, we need to get that customer 3 times. So we bring that person in, and after 3 times of them going online ordering, they're not going to go anywhere else. I'm not saying 1 time, but the rule of 3 is where we're seeing 80%. I think we ran numbers is like 80%, 79, 81% of customers, which everybody else in the world that doesn't do what we do would say, oh, you are getting 8 out of 10 to come back on a repeated basis, which is not as good as full service. But those customers that are going online looking for something else to leave your full service, they're going. So it's either you want a piece, or you want them to go to Nick's company or Tony's company or your company. That they're going. That's your safety net to keep them, and that's and then you can backfill things like service. You can offer those features at an increased rate because hey, we're not keeping a full-time service department to handle 5,000 customers, 3,000 customers, whatever the number is. You're having people there, and you're to go out and do the work. It's going to cost more money. and you don't have to, yeah, and that's, we've made it a lot more profitable that way.
No, Chris, and I know we can echo some of the same struggles that you're commenting on. In the beginning, we turned the engine on and kind of just stood back and waited, and slowly things trickled in, but we weren't seeing any earth-shattering changes. And then Mark Stillman and I got on a call, and he said, well, you got to talk to him. I had just set up the automated email marketing that comes with the engine, and I was kind of relying on that. And Mark and I kind of put a different plan together, more consistently staying in front of these people. And the last year, our business has followed the same trends as all of yours. If you're constantly staying in front of them, the orders are just coming. And we've pretty much, doubled our volume this year compared to previous years, just from talking and staying in front of them more. You almost have to pre-anticipate what their need is going to be for the delivery. So before they even think of it, you're in their inbox to remind them that they need it. But I'm curious about some of your outbound marketing efforts. We haven't tried anything like that before, so maybe that's a topic for another webinar, is effective outbound marketing.
Yeah, we try to, you can't, Adrian lives in the area. You can't drive anywhere in her area without seeing one of our signs. You can't, and that is, one sign doesn't do it. One e-blast doesn't do it. This is, you got to put a package together, whatever that package, you decide, and get in front of them. And, the companies that aren't growing, like our companies are growing, there's no new heating oil customers. They're not building a new house and sticking a heating oil tank in the house unless you're in a really rural area, and there's most of the time that they're probably putting propane in. So, I mean, we're only taking somebody else's customer.
Yep.
So if you want to be the last one standing in the shrink this, you got to take it from somewhere else. You got to follow Tony's lead and just, push people out of the business.
There you go. Well, we've got about 1 minute left, so I'll kick it over to Tony really quick if he wants to share his closing thoughts or any advice he has for anybody else on the call as well.
Like I said before, you have to put money into your SEO. You have to be out on Facebook. You have to be out on Twitter. You have to be putting your face out there. We were very fortunate that our brand was a dog. The dog did die this year at 13 and a half years old. We surrounded everything around the pug. It was a rescue pug. It had a lot of ailments, and we did everything around that. Our whole campaign at one point was, you don't have to tip the drivers, but I like treats. And Romeo still gets treats. Romeo still gets treats. People still give him treats. And we're out there. We push ourselves out there. We're on social media. We advertise on social media. When we go on the radio, it's no phone number. It's all on our website. Everything is about our website. We're trying to not speak to people at all. And you need to really, you need to spend the money that you would, like a full service guy, as he spends the money giving $100 in the beginning of the season. Put that $100 that you spend, whatever your budget was, and put it into SEO. And don't just pick the first SEO company. You really gotta, again, like Chris and Nick said, you really gotta find out what fits you and what works in your market. But we're in a very competitive market on Long Island, and just like Chris said, we are taking work away from the other people. So it's just put a lot of money into SEO, the right SEO.
Great. Thank you so much for that feedback, Tony. We really appreciate it. We've just ticked over the 3 o'clock mark, so just want to be sensitive to everyone's time. Adrian, I don't know if there was any questions that need to be answered. Sorry, we're going a little long, but we'll try to get them answered.
Yeah, there's just one, and it's addressed to the group. And it is, do you feel like your marketing messaging is conflicting when trying to promote online on demand and fixed pricing at the same time?
I'll start and then maybe we can just go around the room again. I think we kind of target this at different points in time. So in the summer months is when we're targeting the full service customer who may be pre-buy budget, looking for a fixed price or a capped price, depending on what we're offering. That message is something we're really communicating in the summer months. And then in the winter months, because we're trying to drive more of this business, we're really pushing everybody to the e-commerce model to execute their orders because they're more, it's cold out in the moment, I need oil, or, you know, like I shared in the beginning, even propane, we're starting to see this trend on. So I think we're talking to different groups of customers at different points of time. And I think Nick or Chris had mentioned it too. I think it was Nick about they're just different people and you need to pick the marketing mediums that are going to target those specific groups of people with the message that fits them. Nick, I'll kick to you to see if you have any other comments on that.
Well, the mantra I use, and Mark might have stolen this from me at some point, but my mantra is leave no gallon behind. I want to be as easy as possible to do business with, whether it's the engine, email, text, phone. I want the gallons, right? So I use, I mean,
Ashes, and you turn on the TV and every broadcaster saying, call your oil company and complain that you don't want to pay those high prices. Like, well, we went out and bought it. You signed a contract. Now it's yours. So you have the option to either let the person out of the contract and eat it or, you know, enforce the contract. So after that debacle, you had so many unhappy people, even though you did exactly what they wanted you to do. We just stopped. There's no, we don't offer pre-buys. We don't offer price cap, price, you know, we just don't do it. And honestly, the calls for that type of product isn't even around anymore. We don't really get that. Maybe we just don't offer it. I mean, and so it's not something that people even, I don't think they even want it anymore. Because
we're spending a lot of resources trying to re-educate them that it's a
right,
thing.
and they don't really, they don't really, you know, they don't really want it, so we don't offer it. The I price, you know, the only thing that we do, and I don't know if you guys do, we have the very price sensitive customer, you know, that'll call up and they check every website beforehand and say, hey, you know, so and so is 12 cents less a gallon than you are. I like Nick's idea of leave no gallon behind. So we go out and we'll match that price. And, you know, you're thinking to yourself, well, why do you want to give up 12 cents? That you're giving up margin for no reason. Well, that customer is going to go somewhere else for 12 cents. So you match it once and they're never going to call anybody else again. You know, like Tony was saying, the only ones we get rid of are the ones we fire. The ones that, you know, everybody else just stays in the program. And that's kind of build the email list, build the, you know, get the traffic to the site, and, you know, they will come.
Great answers to that question. Tony, I'll let you answer. I know you don't really offer, it doesn't sound like you offer any fix because everything's online. I don't know if you have anything to share on that topic as well.
Well, we do still get quite a bit of phone calls in regards to contracts. This year, we switched over to Consumer Focus the end of last year as one of our marketing companies, and I just really got to shout out Consumer Focus. Really, I mean, they stepped to the plate and they really did a good job. So if anybody is looking for a marketing company, Consumer Focus is phenomenal. We did have two calls already in regards to caps and to budget plans, but we're going to do it on a very as we call them. We're just going to market to them, and once we get a couple hundred, we're just going to stop at that point. We're not going to take any more on. Right now, the way we do it, we try to convince a customer in the summertime only. In the wintertime, we don't really speak to the customer. But in the summertime, we try to get them on a tank monitor. And then that tank monitor makes them a quasi-automatic customer. But otherwise, we're not looking for the full service customer. We're just looking to see possibly about doing caps or possibly about doing budget plans. So we're not sure how that'll work with the engine. We're not really sure, and we're just feeling the waters right now. We just want to maybe try that out. But you know, for us, the model that we have is working. And you know, we're not increasing our area. We're not doing anything like that. You know, we shut down at the end of the night. We shut down when the girls leave that office. We're on for the following day. We don't put add-ons on during the day. You know, if there's someone that's out of oil or something that's in the summertime, you know, we'll take you. But otherwise, we just try to push you for the following day. It just makes our life a lot easier, and we put that on our website. That, you know, when you're going to get the oil delivered. So
Great.
that's about it.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Tony. We're about 10 minutes over, so Adrian, are there any other questions, or do you think we're good? We're good. Well, I want to thank Nick and Chris and Tony for joining the call today, and thank everybody else who took time out of their busy schedules to hear what we had to say. I'm sure everything these gentlemen shared was insightful, or at least sparked some creative thinking on everyone's end. I'm sure if you have questions for anybody directly, you can reach out to either Adrian or John, and they'd be happy to provide any additional contact information. But just want to say thanks to everybody. And Adrian, I don't know if you guys have any closing remarks or if you're all set.
No, I think we're all set. You did a beautiful job, Julia. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, thanks,
And John
everybody.
still refuses to speak.
You did good, John. You did good. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
all you Florida
Bye-bye.
people. Bye.
Bye bye.